When it's bitter cold out, often the last thing you feel like doing is clearing your windshield of snow and ice. But imagine multiplying that by 250. That's what they do here at Twin City Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Fiat. They are pros when it comes to taking care of your car in cold weather. So let's get some tips and tricks. We're here with Nate Barrett, the president of the dealership. Now, outside, you have so much work to do on a snowy day. Explain what we're seeing right here.
Well, this is the thing that salespeople don't want to see when they come into work. This is the dreaded snow rake. It's foam based, and so it's easy on the windshields without scratching them to get the snow cleared off. And we have to clear them off so that we can move the vehicles back so that we can plow the dealership and get the lot cleared. We go out in teams. Now, of course, you could get one of these for your home too if you have some of the people in the family that park outside.
Now, our point with all of this, of course, is we need to talk about cold weather car care because just like when we bundle up, it's essential this time of year.
It is, and planning's a big part of it, right? We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But first things first is your engine. Particularly, I want to address diesel because some folks might not think diesel would have an issue, but they do. Diesel fuel tends to gel up in the cold and keep the engine from firing. So you want to make sure if you have a diesel vehicle that you have a way, an apparatus to get it warmed up or make sure that it's inside in some heat. The other thing is just for any of your gas-powered vehicles, we want to make sure that coolant level is right. We want to make sure that there's not the ability for them to freeze up, get that crackle sound. In fact, one of our techs was just telling me he had a vehicle that wouldn't fire, kind of had that icy crackle sound. He pulled it inside for the night and topped off the coolant, and it was good to go. So watching those coolant levels going into winter is so huge. And then, of course, our windshield wipers. We don't know until it's too late. You don't want to have that streaking on there when you're in a heavy snowstorm. And too many folks realize once they're in the snowstorm, I probably should have done wiper blades a few months ago. And then the other one, Lindsay, is the tire tread and the brakes. We need to check our brake pads. We need to check our tire tread depth. And many dealerships and service facilities will help you check that tire tread depth. The issue with your tread depth is your stopping speed. 50 feet, 75 feet can make a real difference in poor conditions of whether you run into another vehicle, cause an accident for yourself and others.
Are there any telltale signs that maybe we need to check the coolant, we need to check the tire? What should we watch for as drivers?
Well, certainly, you don't want to see things bubbling out from the engine. We know that, but also you want to watch for any smells coming through your vent that are unusual. That don't, like, boy, this wasn't here yesterday. You could have a coolant leak or something. And when you grow up in a car dealership, the way I did, you're used to all those smells, so you know them immediately. But for someone that is less familiar with vehicles, especially an aging vehicle, to every now and then they may have the heat going, and they go, boy, that doesn't smell right at all. That's when you want to get into a service department. The other thing we have to caution folks about is your check engine light. We want to see you get in as soon as possible. We don't want to mess around with those check engine lights, particularly if they're flashing. That's a major concern that there could be something wrong with the engine.
One thing we think about a lot this time of year is the wear and tear when it comes to salt, the roadways. What about the exterior?
On the exterior, I think it's a good idea in Midwestern states to always kind of wax the vehicle down before wintertime, try to help protect that clear coat. In this kind of weather, anytime you have a good day, you want to run it through the car wash. We want to get that salt, that road salt, sand out of there. There's a reason why collectors keep all the fancy cars in California and Arizona where there's a drier heat and you don't get that corrosion. So I think on your appearance, those are big.
The final thing to talk about is those worst case scenarios. You recommend emergency kits. What should be in that?
Well, you certainly want to have blankets. If you have young people, keeping their snow pants rolled up, keeping some boots in the vehicle, keeping some granola bars, some chips, a little bit of snack. If you're in a rural community especially, you may be waiting a while if there are other issues in the community. If there's a semi that's blocking a state road or a highway, they have to respond to that. Or a more urgent emergency, you may be there a while. So let's make sure we can keep everybody warm, keep everybody fed, and also have some flashlights, those kind of things. And you don't think of those things often until it's too late and you're in a situation. So I think everything you can do to have a little extra, you can take all that stuff back out of the car in the spring, but have it in there as a staple for you in the wintertime.
All right, so much food for thought. Thank you, Nate. We have all the information about the dealership right here if this has been a reminder that, hey, maybe it's time to get your vehicle in.
Thank you.